Hello everyone and welcome to His Author's Voice. And I am the author, Jack Sanger. Today's short story podcast is called An Inseparable Companion. I hope you like it. Here follows a transcript of an interview with Zain Kumar in a secret location sometime in June 2035. I am the interviewer, Anatol Hass. I added the introduction and the postscript later, of course. So let's start. I was sitting there on the veranda of a palm-thatched hut somewhere on the south coast of India, a beautiful deserted coconut palm beach. I had before me the trillionaire Zain Kumar, one of the best-known twins in history. He was dressed in crumpled black linen shorts and had a T-shirt with the slogan "Back to the Future," and he was fully masked. I was only allowed to make handwritten notes on paper. Since I never handwrite, it was very difficult. Let's start by putting the interview into context. 30 years ago, the world's population was about to exceed 8 billion. Today, 30 years later, it is projected to be closer to 3 billion in the next decade. What changed? What act of God or humankind brought this about? Was it premeditated or accidental? Was it medical? Social engineering? Was it a health issue in male or female fertility? Well, of course, these were all absurd questions, because the answer is very well known, and there is no turning the clock back. But the inside story of how we reached this point in human history has never been told by either of the individuals concerned. And so to Zain Kumar. Here's the transcript, as I recall it. Welcome, Zain.
Thank you, Anatol.
So, how does your story begin?
Aisha and I came from a well-to-do Indian family in Goa, the children of atheists and communists. The franchised cyber cafes across India were all theirs. I think that would do as a summary.
Fine. Good.
It is the truth, even if it skates the surface. Both Aisha and I were lucky to have a private tutor who gave us home tuition to augment schooling. We had books, we had laptops, we visited libraries, museums and galleries, and most of all, we went to the cinema. As you know, Indian cinema had moved away from Bollywood into social realism. The screens suddenly showed everything from graphic brutality to intimate sexual encounters, from magic realism to gritty documentary-style fictions. We were entered for exams and scored very highly at all the stages. Our hobbies were animation and the programming related to it, CGI. Eventually, we enrolled at Birla University and did computer science, but we left after the first year. We had enough knowledge to create the startup business which eventually became the empire everybody knows today.
You say eventually, but it was lightning quick. Within 5 years, was it not?
Yes.
So tell me, what was your big idea?
Well, it didn't seem so big at the time, but we knew it was going to be profitable. Circumstances made it far more propitious than we could have imagined. We were interested in avatars and the possible fusion between a personal avatar and the talking, sedentary AI systems of that time. You know, Alexa and Siri and the others. It seemed to us that if we could personalize uniquely individual avatars then the app would be a must-win.
Okay, how did it work?
You connected them to the AI bot, but were able to converse with a human face on your phone, or laptop, or desktop. A face that was constructed from data stored about you by you. All you had to do was answer 100 questions and you had it. Uniquely yours. At that stage, your companion was a conscious figment of your imagination, so to speak. We started in a garage in Delhi, but within a year, after some investment in our startup, we had a floor in a high-rise. There were lots of offers to buy us out, but we kept to ourselves.
Your sister, Aisha, she was a full partner?
Yes, of course. She was an expert in programming, AI, language, realism, and beauty, fashion, culture. I was also good at programming, administration, hardware, and later holographics. We are close as twins and able to work without conflict. We did well in India and soon were translating the app into multiple languages across the world.
What was the key?
Undoubtedly, retinal plus thumbprint cryptography. As people began to realize that their avatars were personal and secret, they became far more intimate with them. We found that AI language had to be extended into hitherto taboo areas of sexual reference. But compared to a couple of years later, it was a crude first platform.
No one else could access your avatar.
Exactly. It was your thumbprint, your retina. We built in 2 gestures, fast blinks and snapping of the fingers, and everything shut off. So it was difficult for anyone to catch you interacting with your avatar.
But then you say circumstances conspired to give your enterprise a huge lift.
Yes, the great global hack. The vigilantes, they called themselves, hacked into the biggest data collecting companies. The private ones no one knew existed, and the public ones like Amazon, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, all of them. Then there was all the body health data from companies like Fitbit and Oura, Garmin. The vigilantes screwed them over by releasing all the data they held on the world's population. It was phenomenal. The biggest dump imaginable, almost infinite. So big, few knew where to start to exploit it.
But you did.
We did. We had bots to scour for everything contingent on our original idea. We soon had a vast store of data which we could triangulate for any individual user from any of the original data lists. We could pull out everything about them, emotionally, mentally, attitudinally, you name it. And here's where the algorithms changed. Instead of the user feeding in their likes and dislikes to create their avatars, we offered something much more subtle.
Unconscious desire.
Exactly. By the simple procedure of clicking 2 or 3 buttons and paying a minimal fee and signing a disclaimer, our algorithm would supply an avatar that you didn't even know you secretly desired. Everything, every nuance of facial feature, skin tone, body form, voice accent and inflection, you name it. It grew almost daily in subtlety, and it only took one look and you were hooked. Love at first sight.
And no one could copy you.
We were too far ahead. We knew how to protect our program data. Anyway, with the latest AI language developments, our avatars grew more real and personable as time went on, as I've been saying. They even aged alongside their users. Anyway, we prefer the term companions. In fact, it has become a cliche to say inseparable companions.
And the world wanted in on it.
Well, every business from startup to multinationals had to link to our apps because our avatars advised and counseled their companions on every stage of their decision making. What they should buy, for example, where to have holidays, what to wear, who would be an ideal date. Without the link to us, they were dead in the water.
Astounding.
It was. As I said, the latest language programs were very much more subtle. They allowed language growth and understanding in the avatar's speech. The result was that the bond between companion and avatar became indissoluble, meaning they were as one. The avatar provided everything its companion desired.
What? Even
sex? Yes, if you wanted a physical companion, he or she could be located from across the world, very often looking almost an exact replica of the avatar that you'd built yourself, of course. But a large proportion chose a sort of enriched celibacy whereby they could satisfy their sexual needs in private without recourse to another human being. Holographic developments just increased the application's power to a point where one could argue that there was no longer a reality that people could agree was the real world.
By now you'd moved from Delhi.
Oh, yes, we had a secret complex in India and many subsidiaries around the world. We created a cryptocurrency to protect the company's wealth. We employed the best young brains the world had to offer. We paid them huge salaries. But everything in the business was firewalled in compartments. No one individual could access any other than their own segment. Even Aisha and I safeguarded the business by keeping a light steer but staying away from expert detail.
And you became the richest people on the planet.
We did. Though we have divested most of it into support for famine relief, reforestation, democratic movements against tyranny, a multitude of good causes. We're rebooting the world to an earlier, better balance for all its living things. Hence my T-shirt.
And that's how you got the nickname RUN, the real United Nations. You did what that body never did because of corruption and vested interests.
Well, our wealth puts us fourth behind the United States, China, and India. We use it to change the world. I hope that we're seen as forces for good. I think we are by most people, but we do have enemies.
There have been attempts on your life.
Too many.
But your company has a special guardian force, I hear.
Highly trained with every gizmo, and Aisha and I hang out well away from the HQ now. Everyone recognizes the infrastructure of the economic world, even in its diminished form as it is now, depends on us. We are like bacteria in the human body. Without us, it would collapse.
And so, back to the beginning of this interview. The most telling effect of your creation was a rapid decline in world population.
The unforeseen consequences of our creation. Individuals began to prefer their own company to others. Who else could understand and empathize with them like their avatar companions? We realized the likely global effects of the app quite early on, actually. A percentage would still follow the natural pattern of settling down to create new life in partnerships, but only 30% or so.
Didn't the world's religions want you closed down?
Yes, also governments terrified by huge drops in productivity. No labour force. But they knew that to do so would be to cut themselves off at the knees. So here is the question and the dilemma. Do you allow humanity to destroy the planet through overpopulation and toxic industrial and agricultural growth? Or do you do what we did? We had the means. We knew the consequences. And we chose to act for the general good. We could keep the wheels of economies turning over, but in a very diminished version of what they once had been. The world was rebooted. Thank you. End of interview. Oh. Thank you for your time, Zane. A pleasure, Anatole. Well, that was the end of the transcript, and as I said at the outset, neither twin wants their image broadcast, and Zane's voice was encrypt disguised, so there you have it. But I promised a postscript. Here it is. Once I had the hood removed from my head after a journey of boat, jeep and plane, covering hundreds of miles from the location of the interview, I was allowed to switch on my phone. Of course, I used my retina and thumb to bring up the image of Jacinda, my personal companion. Her beauty always staggered me, particularly after a break of a few hours. I said to her, "Have I had fun?" She laughed. "I know. I'll sort out your transcript notes for publication. It was quite a coup to get that interview." "Thanks to you." "No, thanks to Aisha Kumari. Remember, she set it up." "Of course. I wished I could have met her too." "Really? I couldn't have allowed that." Her voice sounded a little bit jealous. I laughed. "Oh, and why is that?" "She is no avatar, nor does she have an avatar companion. She is pure, untouched by the world she and Zane have created. As a result, she is the realest, isn't that the correct street slang, woman on the planet. She would appear to be more beautiful to you than I am, Anatole. Much more beautiful. So it is better that you never meet her." Well, that was An Inseparable Companion. I hope you liked it. We often say that every act has unexpected consequences, and the innovations that we've seen in technology have certainly had unexpected consequences. If you like the story and you want to hear more, there are plenty more on the website. Please subscribe, and perhaps you can share links with your friends. In the meantime, if you like to read stories rather than have them read to you, you can go to my website www.jacksanger.com, and there you'll find plays, short stories, novels and poetry which you can download at your leisure. It's free unless you want to donate. So that's it for now. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.